What's up, everyone? Before we get to today's show, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share, download, listen, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you do listen. This ensures that we can continue bringing you the great guests and amazing content like we have for you today. In just a few short years, this week's guest has gone from the next big thing to the top of the BJJ competition scene, most recently winning the IBJJF Heavyweight Grand Prix just this past week. Listen to Six Blades Victor Hugo discusses how he got his Jiu Jitsu start with his father and how BJJ has become a huge part of his family. He also shares his advice on the benefits of heavyweights training with lighter partners and vice versa, how when you trust in the process, everything becomes natural, and his transition from Brazil to the U.S. Here's the Roll Radio with the multi-time IBJJF Pans and world champion, Victor Hugo.
Welcome to Raw Radio.
And we're live.
Here we go.
Mr. Pound, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good today. I got the right amount of caffeine in me for today, so I think I'll
you won't fall asleep.
Chipper. I will not fall asleep. I never fall asleep. I get quiet, but I don't fall asleep. Before we get started, though, today, therollradio.com, if you haven't heard, we changed up the gi giveaway that we do with Fuji, and drop us a question at therollradio.com. If it gets on air, you go into a pool to win a free Fuji gi, which means, we only do 4 or 5 of these at the most a month. That is a great percentage for you to win a gi. So go to therollradio.com, drop us a question. If it gets read on the air, you go into that pool. And then after we pick the winner at random, you have 72 hours to respond to an email from me, and the gi is on its way to you.
Yeah, easy way to get hooked up with the guys from Fuji, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff.
We had some successful gi giveaways.
We've had quite a few so far.
Yes. So let's take advantage of that. Matter of fact, speaking of giveaways, I want to spin this in a slightly different direction.
Oh yeah,
so,
what's this?
Yeah, we made these cool T-shirts. I don't know.
Oh, look at that
right there
yeah.
off the microphone. But anyway, if you want one of those, I want you to share the Instagram posts and tag us in it for this episode.
Okay.
I want you, if you do that, I'll pick one person and I'll ship you the T-shirt.
Nice.
Just simply share it. Make sure you tag Raw Radio on it, and then we'll, I'll contact you. We'll connect, and you'll get the free T-shirt.
How do I get one of those T-shirts?
You can't. You can't. You're not allowed to wear a cool T-shirt. Cool stuff. Period. Anyway, shall we get to our guest?
We should, absolutely.
All right, Victor, how are you? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. It's such an important week for me, but it feels good to be here talking to you guys. It's always an extra motivation for me to get those interviews, because you actually get to stop and think and go way back to your beginning of their story, and it brings good memories, keep you more inspired. So I really like it. Thank you guys for inviting me.
So I already know why this is important, but for those who don't know, tell us a little bit. Why is this such an important week for you?
Well, first of all, we were a month away from the World Championship, and also have a big test this weekend, the Grand Prix for IBJJF. They make this Grand Prix together with World's Master, so we'll be 4 guys bracket, and usually every year they always bring the big names Jiu-Jitsu. So it feels really good for me, just to be there, such an important card, and to win, it will be a big statement 1 month before the World. So it's a big test, and whatever happens there, for sure will bring something extra to the Worlds. People already will see you there, and so close to the Worlds, and that's the main goal for I believe every athlete. Win Worlds at black belt, such a great accomplishment, a lifetime goal. So yeah.
Do you feel pressure as all of this is approaching? I mean, you've been on the mat for a long time. This is not the first time you're competing, right? But is there a pressure still associated with stepping on the mat in this kind of prestige and facing some of these huge names? I mean, some of these guys have trained longer than you have, right?
Yes, yes. People ask me that a lot. I think I'm really good at handling pressure. Probably because Sean's puts such good pressure on me during training. I'm under pressure during all my training, so I'm really good under pressure. I don't feel much pressure. I just feel like excitement to like be there, being part of the grand show, you know. Because if you look back, that's where you wanted to be like a long time ago. So I just like to look at that like that way, you know, look at that way. Like I believe like 6 years ago, I was home. I wasn't even a professional athlete yet. I was watching those guys like Bushisha and all the other guys doing this card. So it just feels good, man. Like it feels damn, it's my time. So I don't take much pressure. I feel like it fits me well. So I'm just happy to be there.
Speaking of Zanji, we had him on the show literally a couple of weeks ago, and he was telling us that you beat him up pretty well.
Nah, he's being humble. You know, like some days I'm lucky, but some other days, you know, the man, like, he's weird. He's like, I think he has 20 years. He's 20 years older than me, but still has the energy, you know. He has the energy. His jiu-jitsu always gets better. And the way we train, like, we don't train to win, like, one on another. We really train, like, to beat the other one up. So I think it brings more, like, a deeper meaning to your jiu-jitsu. That's why I feel like we have a lot of these garage training sessions where the mats are really small, are not that big, so there's nowhere to run. You just got to handle the pressure, embrace it. So those are really fun.
I can only imagine you two in a very small space.
Wrecking each other.
Do you think that those training sessions are really, they've made you what you are, who you are today, meaning this grinding? I know he's very known for grinding, and so are you. I mean, you use your physical attributes to your advantage as the fights are unfolding. How has this shaped? How did you become what you are today?
Definitely, because I feel like the way that he does jiu-jitsu, his brother and like all like his students eventually, they really like to go for the pressure. They like to go for controlling positions. Pretty much they all want to go to mount and submit from mount. That's the main goal. So they just try to keep doing that over and over with me, you know. So that built me like some resistance, you know. As if I ever get mount in competition, it's not gonna be the first mount I get mount in my life. I've been there before, so I'll take that like as any other position. So I feel like it's very extreme. So it brings you to another level in jiu-jitsu. So it helps me a lot. It helped me a lot for sure. Like I remember my very first training session with him, Lovato, I got like demolished. It was bad. And I had just won my very first world championship as purple belt. I was feeling really good against black belts, but they just bring me to another level at Smash. So I feel like since then I have improved so much in other aspects of my jiu-jitsu, you know, and it does help. You know, sometimes you just get to his house and we hang out there like for 3 hours doing jiu-jitsu, discussing positions. That's another thing that I always like to bring is like questions. You know, I feel like if you have like the prestige, like if you're lucky enough to be close to your sensei, you should always be making questions, because I'm pretty sure the question I have now he probably had before, and he'll have the answer right away. So yeah, just try to be there and like enjoy that moment.
A moment ago, you said that you were a purple belt and you trained with Zanji and Lovato, and they smashed you. I'm trying to visualize this, and it's hard to believe. For those who don't know, I mean, you're quite a statue. I mean, you are not a small boy. Like you know.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, recently, just now, you know, we looked at your Instagram and we saw a picture with Zanji and Travis Stevens, and they both look much smaller than you. How is it possible that they were smashing you?
Yes. I actually built up a little bit too. I was way skinnier whenever we met. I probably gained like I would say like 40 pounds since I moved to America. So that made a huge change too. But just the weight that they do, you know, like if you see the team, our team is full of big guys. Mm-hmm. So being big is not gonna get you really far. You gotta be big and have jiu-jitsu. You know, we have many big guys, and not always the bigger ones winning. So it's really cool. You know, that's another thing that I think helped me a lot. Like we have such a big team of big guys like James Popolo, Rafael Lovato, Gustavo Diaz, Thiago Pereira, we have a lot of masters too. And I really felt like they always train like to get better. Of course, we have our time for competition training where we actually want to win the role and stuff. But most of the time, we're just like training with no time on and just like trying to get each other better, you know? So I feel like that helps me a lot for sure. And also all those guys that I'm talking about, they're all great minds on their own business. They all have business. They're all successful like professors. So I feel like they always help me with something. You know, I'm the youngest of them, so I'm always trying to listen and like learn something from them.
You talk about asking questions, and even now you're talking about learning, and taking advantage of being surrounded by some of these big and successful men around you. Many people are afraid to ask questions. Many students, forget about world champions, but talk about just average students. They are afraid to ask questions. They are afraid to be wrong. They are afraid to ask a right question or wrong question. They don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to be spotted out. And you're talking about something completely opposite. You're talking about, I ask questions all the time. I surround myself by these guys. Why is that so important? Why do you think asking questions is so important? Why do you think people are afraid of it?
Well, I think it goes way back probably to childhood, you know, like maybe they'll be blamed for asking questions. But for me, my dad always told me, you know, like you should never feel bad for asking questions, you know. And he had like a friend that would be a good example for that. So I try. Of course, I'm not the guy who's asking questions all the time, but I try to practice something. And if it doesn't work the way that I think it should work, I just try to make like a really a real founded question, you know, like not like silly questions. And I feel like as that is fresh on my mind, it'll be the right time for me to ask this question, you know, because many times I have done a position wrong. I went back home and I was like, man, I need to ask something. I need to ask Shanji about that. And then the other day I forgot. So I just like to use the momentum, you know, like we just rolled, he did something, or probably I did something that didn't work. And I was like, Shanji, what do you think I should do here? And it's just like that, I also learned from them, because many times I saw him asking like a purple belt, what's that bullet that he did? Can you do that again? So it's just a habit that it becomes like normal between us. So some other guy did something cool, I might ask him. And I have seen that many times. Like we have this new kid, Philippe. He's the youngest from our team now. He's a brown belt. Sometimes he does stuff and I saw like Rafael Lovato asking, how do you do that? And I just think it's cool. If you see a guy that like accomplished, asking someone that would say like less accomplished than him, like questions, why wouldn't you not like make questions to him? Like, you know what I mean? So I just think it's a humbling experience to be around these guys, you know?
Yeah, but listen, a lot of people think that once you get your black belt, you know everything. A lot of people think that, you know, you've trained for 10 years or 8 years, whatever it is, you got your black belt, now you're an instructor, you can teach class, and you know all the answers, you know everything, you can't be wrong.
Yeah, you automatically download everything to the belt.
That's it. It's a matrix, right? Just goes down, right?
You took the pill.
Yeah, I feel like whenever you get your black belt, you should have your learning pattern, right? Like your pattern, like, oh, how do I learn? Do I learn by drills? Do I learn by studying more? So it should be easier for you to learn faster, I feel like. But I know what you're saying, and I have been with black belts like that before. Like once they're black belts, they don't want to learn anything no more because they already have the game and stuff. But I don't think this mindset will take you very far as an athlete or as a teacher, because someday, let's say I'm a judo guy, I only do judo, and I'm a black belt in Jiu Jitsu. I'll have some student that wants to play guard. So, am I going to be able to help him? You know? So I feel like my mindset should be complete and like be able to help you with whatever it is, you know?
That's good stuff. I wanted to backtrack a little bit. When you started with Zanji, you were in Brazil, and you got, if my memory serves correct, you got a scholarship to the University of Jiu Jitsu, which I think a lot, I mean, that blows people's minds. I don't think they realize that that's a real thing, you know, hobbyists especially. And, you know, as a kid moving from Brazil to the US for this, I mean, what was that like for you? What were you thinking? What were you going through? Was it a hard decision? Because you had just started college too, right?
Well, yes, it kind of was, but we kept it was kind of very natural, you know, because I wasn't like, oh, I'm going and then I stayed. I would go back and forth. So my family was getting used to it too. So, but at some point, like whenever I first got the invite, I had to take like big decisions, like, oh, I need to drop out of school and follow my dreams, which was being an athlete, you know. So yeah, it was kind of hard at the beginning for the family to take it because, of course, they want me to study, to have like a degree and stuff. But they saw it was a good opportunity, you know, because my country, like, it doesn't have the best opportunities for athletes. And even if you go to college, it doesn't mean that you're going to be successful, you know. So they saw that I was doing good and they supported me. They always supported me, but also, as any other parent, they wanted me to get a career, you know. And it was something unique for me, you know. I always dreamed of that. I was like a blue belt, and I saw those, because I've been winning titles, but I wasn't ever like, oh, this is the guy. Like, I didn't have big attention from the media, from the color as a color belt. So I always saw like those kids coming to the US and just training jiu-jitsu. And I was like, man, I wish one day I'll have the opportunity, you know. And whenever I blinked, I was here already, you know. I had no English, so I had to start with that, you know, learning English. And also I was just a kid. I was 19 years old, but living with your parents, it's different than living with another man. So learn a lot. And I'm really grateful for my friends here who like took care of me, like had a lot of patience with me, you know. It's just hard, you know, like, because you live in your country, you're not living like your parents' house, but you leave your country and other culture. So you start to learn another language, being a foreigner and all that. And sometimes the clock is ticking and you don't really realize that you're in another country. Sometimes I spend time with my Brazilian friends a lot, but whenever they're gone, I'm here in America by myself. So it was a big change, you know. It was hard. Sometimes you miss family, but once you look back and you look where you are now, you're like, man, this is what I wanted. So you just put your head on, like, go.
I want to dig a little bit deeper into this, because what you're talking about right now is one in a lifetime opportunity. I mean, there was only a handful of people who had opportunity like this. Even if you look scholarships in general, you know, to schools or wherever it might be, those are rare occasions. How did you find out about the scholarship? How did it go down? Who contacted you? How did that unfold?
Yeah, so if you see them, like, they don't have a big team. They always had one or two guys in the whole like divisions. So it would happen very naturally because they also didn't have the scholarship up to me. Like, I think I was one of the only guys to that they were ever took, like, to teach and stuff, because I won the world championship. But as I was coming to the world championship, I had a friend in the team. His name is Gustavo. He was a black belt already, and we had a friend in common. And my friend asked him, like, can you take care of him for the Worlds? He's from another team. He's from Brazil, but he's really good. Can you take care of him, like, coaching, because he doesn't know no one in the US? So Gustavo took a good care of me, you know. And that day in the event, I met Xande and Saulo, you know. I just met them briefly. I don't think I did it. Yeah, I wasn't fighting yet. I think my day was Thursday. I met them like Wednesday. So they met me, and Gustavo told me, oh, this is a friend of a friend. He's from Brazil. He's competed this weekend. They didn't know me. I was like, oh, cool. And whenever the purple belt day came in, I had like 9 fights. I think I submitted 7, and I won double gold. So I was like the highlight of the day. And they were there, they were watching. They were like, oh, shit. The kid likes to fight. He has the fire. So right after my tournament, they come to me, they congratulated me, and they're like, man, you should come train with us 2 days, you know, in San Diego, since you're in the US. You know, you're a big guy. It would be nice to have you train with us for a couple of days. And I was like, damn, let's go. I feel like it would be a good opportunity, because my teacher in Brazil, he was a big fan of them too. So I was like, damn, that's a really good opportunity. So I went there to visit, and it was very natural. As I said, like, I trained. We had a really good time training. And I went back home, and then Gustavo texted me like a couple of weeks later. I was like, man, you should come to train with us for Nogi Worlds, you know, be part of the team. You're a big guy, we're big guys, and I think we can help you just as you can help us. And it was very natural, you know. I think they really liked my vibe. It was like a destiny. I should be there, and that's how it happened. Because as I said before, they are not known as a school who like keep drafting people. They usually take just one and they focus on that one. I think this time was me. And I think before it was Shanji, one time was Lovato, you know.
How did this conversation take place with your parents?
Yeah. I mean, it was actually easier, you know, because I had a lot of friends, like teammates back in my city, that they would go like do the same thing I did, but like in another state. Let's say they're from Austria and they were living in California because California had better jiu-jitsu or more competitions. So that would be very common. But my parents never approved that because they're still here in the country. They're still like facing the same challenge, you know. It's not like it's going to be a big change, but for other people, it really helped them level up. So I just stay true to myself. Like, man, I kind of want to leave my city, but I don't because I really like the training here, and I'm going to the school. You know, I have my parents here. I have this support. So it really got me like, because whenever I had my real belt, I was like, should I go? Should I stay? Because Cicero Costa was a big team. Like back then, like it's still a big team, but they're like had big stars. And I kind of had a little invitation to go there, like a couple of invitations. I went there to cross-train a little bit, and I didn't know what to do, you know, like, because I also knew that I couldn't stay in my city for longer. Like, purple belt was like, the further I can go, I had the feeling. So it was very natural. I told them, I want to go to the US again. And of course, like, the best side of it would be like a sponsorship. I was sponsored to go. So they kind of took it easy, you know, but they were kind of like, are you going to keep going to the school or not? And I actually, I registered myself for one more period at school. And the other day I went there and canceled it. So that's how it happened.
What were you majoring in? Like if this didn't happen, nutrition.
Yeah, nutrition. I was going to the third period, but yeah, I registered, but the other day I was like, no, I can't. I can't lie to myself. I really want to go. It's time to take a break. I told them, let's just take a break of a year and see how it goes. And boom, in the end of the year, I won another world championship no-gi. I was like, I can't miss the momentum, you know. I need to dive on this. So that's how it happened, you know.
Well, that support from your parents, I think it's critical that, you know, that transition, the smooth transition between those two worlds. And, you know, you're talking about from a young man to an adult, and then obviously from a school to, you know, another education format, and then you're talking about between Brazil and then US. I mean, these are all very big changes happening all at the same time. And you even mentioned that English was not even a factor at that point, right? You had to learn the language from the beginning, or did you have some English as all of this is unfolding?
No, I had to learn from the beginning. I knew very little.
Yeah,
very little.
See, same thing for me.
Yeah,
like, same thing. I'm foreigner too. I'm just not from Brazil, but I'm foreigner too.
Where's your country?
Poland. I'm from Poland. Yeah.
Poland.
Thomas is trying to get me to insult him, and I'm not taking the bait. I'm not going to fall for it this time.
But listen, let's get to your father. Let's get to your dad, to your father for a moment. I know he plays a significant role. Even Gary mentioned that a little bit earlier, in getting you into jiu-jitsu and then continuing with the jiu-jitsu. Talk about how important he was in the development of this profession, essentially, because right now this is your life. This is what you do.
Yeah, he helped me a lot, you know, like just not like a father, but actually a training partner, you know, because of course he has the figure of the father who can like actually tell you like let's do this and do that, but he played a big figure of like a training partner. We'd like get ready together, we'd go train together, we'd roll together. Of course, he would be too strong for me sometimes. Like there was a point that he would be too much, and then we passed the 11, and then I was like growing too much, and then he got like older. So, but still, we're in the same room, so the preparation would be the same. He would compete too, so we would compete the same competitions. So it was really good to me. Like it was really cool, and I think unique to have your father as an actually training partner. Of course, he has his other jobs, but he would be getting ready to the same tournaments as I was, you know, so that was really cool. He was always pushing me. My mom too, she was always pushing me. She was like, oh, you should be trained, you should stay home. So the family played a big role here. And it's so cool because I feel like now too here in America, I see that happening a lot. Like I used to teach kids for a while, and a lot of the parents, they start training after a couple of weeks, they see the kid training. and maybe a year later you see both of them competing. So I feel like jiu-jitsu is one of the only sports where you can actually like do that. You know, like the whole family is competing, the whole family is training, the whole family like is this environment, and it is a healthy environment, you know, because everyone like is trying to get better at something, and as they're trying to get to that point, like better at jiu-jitsu, they're getting better in all the skills. I have seen kids that had problems talking, like they were not very social, and as soon as they started jiu-jitsu, that got really better. Like it's crazy, you know. I feel like it can add up so much. And my family itself, I started training my dad. Then my cousin started, and then my other cousin started. And nowadays, I think we have like 10 people, my whole family training. My cousin's a European world champion, and he took second in the world. He's coming to compete again. It brings such a big impact to the family, you know.
So instead of everybody coming for dinner, they just come and you guys train.
Hit the mats.
yeah. That happened many times.
That's not going to happen in my family. I can tell you that right now.
Gary, did you have a question? I saw you starting to say something.
No, I really wanted to key in on that father thing a little bit more, and what you just said about how you've seen it change kids too, because I know that when you were younger you quit. You played a lot of sports, and then at some point you stopped everything, and then your father got you into jiu-jitsu, and I was just wondering how that transformation went, because it seems like you were unsatisfied with a lot of different things. And then you found this along with your father, and it turned into what Thomas just said a minute ago. Now it's your profession.
Yes, I feel like out of the other sports, jiu-jitsu was the most welcoming one for many reasons. I think one of the reasons would be like, it doesn't matter if you're tall, if you're slow, if you're fast, you can do jiu-jitsu. You know, and I wasn't the fastest. I wasn't like the most athletic, but I still could do it, you know. I'd still roll with other kids in my age and be able to give them a hard time. So that was really motivating. And the environment was a good environment too. It was challenging, you know. We would joke with each other, we'd go hang out. So I feel like the other sports that are practiced, they would be like very related to the school. So sometimes if you're not in the circle, you would be part of the sport, you know. Or if you're not as talented, you probably wouldn't be part of it. So, and also it was kind of far from my house. So I was lucky enough to have this school like walking distance from my house. So that's why I hang out most of the time. Once I started, I got like, the excitement, and I would go there like 3 times a day. During like summer break, I would go there like 4 times a day. And it's just like, it's simple, you know, as more you train, better you get, you know? So I think that the very first like 2 years, I had a really like I developed good. So as I started developing competing, I started to love it way more. And my parents got involved, and that's how it went, you know, that's how it went down. Because I never got to compete in other sports. So I think that was one thing too. Something always went wrong, and I couldn't like go for a competition. So it felt good, you know, like the competing vibe, you know, trying to get better. Yeah.
Cool. Nice.
What's harder for you, watching your dad compete or you competing yourself?
I think watching my dad compete, watching my cousin compete.
Why?
You know, I don't know. You just feel like they're fragile, something like that. I feel like they feel the same way to me. Like you don't think the worst can happen. You know, it's crazy. And I feel like my cousin, like my dad is not as much now because he's so strong. He's stronger than he thinks. He's very scary, but he thinks he's not scary. So I just feel like whenever he goes the guy on his division, I'm like, oh, he'll be fine. You know, like this guy is not going to smash him because he's really strong. Well, but my cousin now, like I start to get a little like more tense because he's like one of the big names on his division. So they start to have those matches that are like the big star of the division against him, and like start to get more like challenges. So I feel like with him is the one that I get more nervous.
Do you still train with your dad? When was the last time when you trained with your dad?
We rolled last year. Yeah. I was able to, I tied his black belt last year. His teacher, my very first teacher, he let me do that. So he was from Motor Black Belt, and I was able to tie it. And we rolled the other day. We rolled like for 10 minutes. He trains every day, man. I'm like at some point, like on my off season, I'm pretty sure he trains more than me. If it was for him, he trains twice a day. You know.
So last time you roll with him, who won?
I think it was me, but he still gives me a hard time. He still gives me a hard time.
I did not know that you had the privilege of rewarding your dad with a black belt or being part of that ceremony. Talk about that a little bit, because that is, first of all, achieving a black belt is huge. I mean, that's a huge milestone for anybody who trains jiu-jitsu. And I hope more people have that privilege, but it takes a lot of sacrifice, a lot of time and effort to get there. What did it feel like when that moment came for your dad? Did you? Well, first of all, you did know. I assume you knew that was coming. Did you? Or
I did.
Did he know?
He was expecting, but he knew. He got the news like probably a month before or so, and everything worked out so good because I went to Brazil and then we ended up doing it while I was there, so it was perfect, And I was so happy to do it, man. Like, I feel like we put so much work through it. It was like 10 years of training. And I mean, we put so much work, and it's almost like you're working with your eyes closed and you open, you're there, like you look back, was like, dang, like 10 years ago, we just started here, Dad, and now you're getting your black belt. It's crazy. And he put so much effort to it, I know how much effort he put it, like training, competing, and he pushed himself. He really wants to win. And seeing the struggle, like from working and all that, it was amazing. It was unique. I feel like I have a lot of stuff that like I'm grateful for. This is one of the things, And all the thing is be able to train with him. Like you train with your own dad, like mess with him, trash talk.
I can imagine you two training the amount of trash talk that takes place.
Whoever loses the role is gonna wash the dishes and all that.
Is that what it is?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. If you don't mind me asking, how old is your dad?
He's 48.
48.
Getting up there.
See, there you go. Gary, there's hope for you.
I know.
There's hope for you. A small hope, but
48 was a long time ago.
Though. He's crazy. He's crazy.
I'm not crazy.
On getting people to train, like he has his mama train. My grandmother, she trained like 3 times.
What?
He had my mother training. Yeah, he pushes you. He was like, Mama, you should train jiu-jitsu. It's going to be the best thing for you.
That's
and
great.
She trained for a couple of times.
There you go.
Of course, she didn't feel like doing it, but she loves it. She understands the competition, all that. It was funny. He put the gi on her, It's like some people that have that bug and they want to like show like the way that they like feel grateful for the art is like by wanting to people like to try it to feel like it's gonna like help them as much as help them,
Yeah, no, I mean that's wonderful. I love that.
It's one of those things that you really want to share. Like I know people that play hockey, right, and they or people that play flag football now, and they don't. It's their time alone in a way, and they don't want to share it with people. But I think jiu-jitsu, it's like, no, come on, you got to check this out. Everybody, I mean, that's how Thomas got into it. A friend of his just kept pushing and pushing. You got to try it. You got to try it. And I don't think it's like that with a lot of other sports.
Why do you have friends who play football, not train jiu-jitsu?
That's just the way it is.
You need to talk to his dad. You need to talk to Victor's dad to learn how he gets people into jiu-jitsu.
All right. Give me his number. We'll figure it out. I'll get some people in here.
I love that story. I love this story with your family and your grandma training jiu-jitsu. I mean, that's ridiculous, but I love it. Listen, I want to pivot this conversation slightly in a different direction. Jiu-jitsu often is being viewed as the smaller guy protecting themselves from the larger guy. What can the smaller person do to manipulate the situation, protect themselves, escape from somebody who is stronger, faster, bigger, heavier, whatever the case is, right? You don't have these experiences. You are on the other side, right? But
I have a little bit. I have fought guys like that know my size, but still, I have been the smaller man a couple of times, but I do understand what you're saying.
Well, but I want to ask you in the other direction. What does the bigger and stronger guy, what does he have to worry about when they go with the smaller people? Is it easy for you to go with a smaller person, or do they introduce different challenges?
Well, it depends on how skilled they are. Like I have had a hard time with smaller person. Of course, there is like a standard, like till lightweight. I think compared to my size and skills, I feel like I can get a hard time. But below that would be kind of harder because of my skills and their skills. Like I think the athleticism, like strength, can play a role. But I have lost like lightweights before, like, and I feel like it's also like how much they're training a bigger person. If you're a small person and you're used to train a bigger guys, you're not gonna have a hard time like ever like facing them, like because you're already used to it. But if you're a smaller person and you never take the challenge to train the bigger people, they might be a little more challenging. I'm not saying you're not gonna be able to like beat them, but of course you will, depend on the skill level. But you feel kind of different. And that's why I like to train small guys too. I love to train small guys. My friends here that like lightweights, middleweights, and even Malfacini, I got to roll with him at his school back in I think 3 months ago, and it was an amazing role because I feel like as big as I am, when I train somebody smaller, I'm really training my timing. If I'm able to follow the transitions at the same speed as someone smaller than me, I'm gaining a really good training there because if I can move at that speed against a big guy like me, it's going to be like crazy, that's going to be hard to stop. So I feel that's one of the points that helps me, like being a big guy and being a smaller person. I think Jiu-Jitsu does play a big role, like being a smaller person rolling someone big. For self-defense, I think it would be the best thing because a smaller person taking a punch for a bigger person, it would be like a tragedy. But whenever you're small and have this skill, you're more skilled to the big person. I think you can take them out, definitely, But still, I'm big and I have had times with small guys before. Jonathan Gracie, Cobrinha Son. We had a couple wars, and they're always smaller than me.
What are the biggest challenges for you when you train with a smaller person and they are skilled? They are top level guys. What is the most challenging thing for you?
I feel like anything I do wrong, they'll be my back. I have this feeling. I have the feeling that I'm fighting like against a very skilled backpack. You blink, the backpack will be here. That's one of the things that I feel. Like it's hard to find the angles. I feel like because they're so short, so I'm so long. It kind of feels awful a little bit. I feel like my back would be the main thing that's exposing, like, and that's why I tell like my smaller friends whenever they like to fight absolutes or everything or anything like that. I was like, man, if you fight a big guy, you gotta look for his back. I think back control will be the thing because even if your side control you have a good pressure, depending on how big the guy is, he'll be able to like bunch press you off it and create a scramble that you don't want to be on it. As long as you're on the back, it's hard, like to be aware. The only thing you can do like is a explosion rotation to face them from close guard, and if you stay aware of that, I think you can take them out. So I'm very aware of like smaller, and also another thing is like standing. Depending on how the wrestling is, like I'm so long, it's like easier for them to shoot a single leg or something like that because I'm so long, So those are the things that I'm always like aware of someone smaller.
Yeah,
I'm saving that for Sunday. I'm going to tuck that away for open mat on Sunday and work on that stuff.
a lot of students who are or students to be people who want to start jiu-jitsu, they often are concerned about training with somebody who's much larger than them, and they are afraid of getting hurt, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is where being good training partner comes in really, really important, right? What would be your advice? As the stronger and larger guys, often you are on the heavier side as far as the opponents are concerned. What would be your advice for the little guys, as far as not being too concerned about getting hurt or getting smashed, or how should they approach this? I mean, obviously, well, I don't know. Should everybody try jiu-jitsu? I mean, I guess that's a first question.
Yeah, it's challenging, like everybody should try, but it's not for everybody, like I think as a smaller person, and if you're ever facing someone bigger, like at the beginning of your journey, it would be a good thing for you to have a solid survivor position, like know what to do, like whenever it's on top of you, like someone's on top of you, like side control mount or something like that, have solid like survival positions. I'm not even talking about escapes. Escapes, it's after that. Survival is like being in positions like someone's pinning you and don't expose yourself where you can like get submitted or hurt. Like have all your elbows in, look for angles, like then we can talk about escapes after. But survival is just like get your position, get somewhere within a bad position. You're not gonna tap like from pressure. You're not gonna tap because you expose your arm too much. So just get really solid on these survival positions, And from there you go, like you have to think too that that will be just one step. You won't be facing big guys every day. There are always gonna be someone smaller than you too, or someone your size. So that big guy over there, he's just one more step on your journey, And as a big guy too, I always tell like my friends, big guys, there's no reason for you to be rough with someone smaller, because that's not gonna take you anywhere. It's not gonna bring you any extra skill, extra something, You should always like if someone is smaller, you should be playing guard. That's why I tell my big guys, man, play guard is someone small. If you're able to play guard to them, you're gonna you're easily gonna play guard for someone bigger because you're gonna be able to follow them way easier and you're gonna have like more speed. Your hips gonna be looser. That's what I try to do.
Do you think that guys your size can learn something from a smaller individuals?
Oh yes, I think I do. Yeah, even pressure. I was training with one of our black belts. His name is Rodrigo Pagani. I'm pretty sure he's a light featherweight. He's a black belt. Like he's been a black belt for a long time. And we were training at his house in Brazil. He was showing me some of these like positions from side smash. And man, he felt so heavy. And he's like 100. I would say he's like 160 pounds. I was like, dang, I don't feel that heavy. How come you feel that heavy? There's some magic in there.
Big breakfast.
And yeah, there's some magic in there. I need to learn that. So for sure, I think like someone smaller, because I feel like you being smaller, like pressure positions, you have to be way more precise because you don't have your size. So you have to be more precise with your angles, your positions, and all that. So it is amazing,
And that's the beautiful part of jiu-jitsu is that power, let's not fool each other. Like power and weight has a lot to do, and strength has a lot to do with fighting. But there is a component of angles and taking leverage away from your partner, which really one can really take advantage of it if used correctly, if knowing how to maneuver through these positions, right?
100%. Because as you said, power and strength, it is a thing, but I think Saulo used to say that they're not going to be there forever. At some point in the match, or like training or like fighting, you run out of that. I was actually laughing at some movies, those action movies. They have those like guys fighting for so long and they're not even sweating. I'm like, dang. What's your conditioning training?
That's the secrets of martial arts. They never
like,
get tired.
If you stop to think, they fight to death, and they're even like catch a breath. They're like keep the same pace, and that's not how it happens in competition. Actually, rolling, That's why it's good for you to have like a really crafted technique because that will save you whenever you're really tired. And that's one of my main things, Like I like to train a lot, like and focus a lot on my technique. But lately, also I've been focusing a lot on my power and my strength because I think like if I can align that with my size, it'll be like really dangerous,
You're talking about power, strength, and sustaining something.
Yeah, both.
Yeah. Do you ever feel that you out of gas tank, that you completely depleted, that you don't have power when you train, when you roll, when you compete?
Yeah, I mean, like no, always, because I feel like we're technical. So a lot of the stuff that I do for me feels natural. So it doesn't feel like I'm using a lot of energy, But that it is a thing. One thing that I feel like is like that I haven't had my 100% strength yet. Like that man strength. I still feel like my strength is still developing. So I'm always looking for get better at that, like because that aligned with the pressure, I think would be like something really good. Because as I said, I train in masters, they all have the old man strength. And sometimes I just feel they're always stronger than I am. So I was like, I need that.
Victor, forgive me. I've seen matches with you, okay? if you are not strong right now, I don't know what strong is. Okay, like I don't want to roll with you when you are actually strong. I don't want to roll with you now, let alone when you actually get strong. Lord help us all. You talk about being natural and things coming natural to you. You've mentioned this several times through this entire conversation. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? What does it mean for you or natural, or things come natural to you?
Well, I think it's more, it has to do like whenever you have a plant, you know. I read the other day, you put water in it and you kind of forget about it a little bit. You know, let it grow, and then like you plant the seeds, you let it grow, and then the fruits come. I'm not really focusing on look at the plant all the time and overthink about the plant. Oh, is the plant going to grow? Is there going to be fruits? I really like to focus on the process, you know, focus on the moment, like focus on today, and then a month from now there'll be roads. Am I going to be ready? Yes. Why? Because I focus on a day by day. I focus on my thing daily. I'm not focused on like, oh, am I going to be 100% ready for roles in a month? Is my cardio going to be like perfect? Is my strength going to be perfect? I don't know. What I can control is what I'm doing now. So that's how I like to take the challenge. That's why I feel like I say that a lot. It becomes very natural because I wasn't even paying attention, like overthinking about what's happening. I was just focused on the moment. And then once that passes, I'm like, oh, it happened. You know, I feel like things happen for me like that. Like that's how I take challenges, and also that's how I take a lot of losses too. Like whenever I lost a match, it's not the end of the world for me. It's just part of the process. I'm always thinking on the next match and what I did wrong with this one. I already tried to bring better in the next match, you know?
But share some wisdom here, because a lot of students, and like my own students and students around the world, they often hyper focus on things that go wrong, right? You mentioned losses. I lost this match. I got my guard passed, or I got submitted, whatever the case is. And they're really trying to solve that problem. They're trying to fix it, versus what you're saying is, this is a part of a journey. This is a natural progression. Without that, I cannot get better. You know, I'm accepting I'm accepting what's happening right now, but I'm not hyper focusing on this. Where does this mental state come from? Like, why are you so focused on the process versus on some of these results, and especially the negative ones?
I think the main thing is like, since my starting of like in sports and everything, nobody ever expected big things from me because I was never the most talented. I was never like the most bright. So I was like, there's no much expectations coming out of my short terms when it comes to me. So I just feel like a little bit of the mentality stayed on me, you know, like I don't, there's no big expectations. Like that's how I was when I started. And it kind of is part of my, like, it's part of myself, you know? I feel like that's how it plays a big part. Whenever you have so much attention since the beginning, probably it plays out different. You push, like you have a lot of pressure in yourself. You're like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. Of course, I have a little bit of that. I push myself and all that, but I'm not freaking out about it, you know? I feel like I believe on the way I do things, and like seems to be working real well, you know? And I trust a lot on the ones that are surrounding me and all that. I think
I want to know
what it is, if you guys understood.
I think so. But I want to know, is there anything that wasn't natural, that hasn't been natural, that you had to really maybe hyper focus on a little bit to make it part of your game or what you do?
I mean, the whole thing hasn't been like very natural. It was a lot of work on it. But sometimes I put the work in. I have this thing on me. I put the work in, and I'm not even thinking about the work I already put in. I was like, damn, I need to do more. Did I do that? Did I do enough? So it becomes natural. The process becomes natural, you know, because I was never really talented, you know. But as I said, I would go there 4 times a day in the beginning. I would spend like 2 years training 3 times a day. And for me, that was natural. Why? Because the environment was good, you know, like the training was good. There was a lot of laughing, and I felt good doing it. So I just embraced it, you know. And since the beginning, I always felt good on comfortable positions, and that's one of the things that helps me like probably handle pressure well, because there's been a lot of pressure put it on me already. So That's one part of it, if it makes sense.
I gotta ask you. So you competed at the highest level. You fought one of the best, the biggest, the strongest, the most skilled people out there right now. You talk about four-man tournament that's coming up right around the corner. You don't feel any pressure whatsoever?
I mean, there's a little bit, but no, not really. Like, for me, it's just like a big moment of, let's say, like, not like a party, but it feels like we're all gathering to go to battle. So it's just like very like, it's hard to express the feeling, you know? Of course, there's the bright part, you know, I'm happy and all that, but also I have a lot of rage because there was a lot of suffering during the training camp. So it's just a mix of feelings, you know? But I don't think pressure will like bring a lot of stuff on me, because I feel like whenever there's pressure, people tend to get tight. You know, pressure brings you tight and it's not going to let you like flow and all that. So my main thing is flow. That's how my brand's called, Big Man Flow. So if there's like pressure on yourself, you're not going to flow as good. So I feel like the hardest thing is the process, and that I love it. You know, like I'm there every day training with my partners, being smashing like the best in the world. And when it comes to the competition, of course, there's a little bit of pressure, but there's a lot of pleasure too, you know, like for being there, for being star of the day, being part of such a big card, you know. That's what I like to tell like people, you know, like there's two or more ways to think about something, you know. I just like to think and embrace this way, you know.
I mean, that's a beautiful way of thinking. Well, let me ask you this. So you said that, you know, if the losses come along, and they do happen to all of us, you know, if things don't go according to plan, you don't put a lot of emphasis on those. It's part of the process. Are victories part of your process as well, or do you celebrate those?
Of course, some I do celebrate, but for me, it's always about the next victory, you know, like, because whenever you have a lot of victories, it takes a little bit for you to get you comfortable. So if you're focusing on getting more victories, you don't get you comfortable. And I feel like greatness and being comfortable are not very like friends. So there is always got to be a little push. And being surrounded by the guys that I am surrounded with, it always an extra push because they have so much victories and they're still competing. If you see all the guys that they're still looking for the victory, they're still looking like for improvements. They could very well be like retired, have their own school, not being out there competing, but all of them, they're still pushing themselves. They still like want to compete. They're still like trying to beat the shit out of me, and you know, inspiring.
Well, and that's why I asked you the question, because you know the camp you train with, I mean, that's top of the leagues. I mean, Zishanji on its own. I mean, like, first of all, phenomenal jiu-jitsu practitioner. His brain works in the ways that not many out there do, right? How do you find yourself? How do you feel being surrounded by all these great minds? I mean, Lovato, Sanjay. I mean, the list just keeps going, right? And you are so successful already, but you are on the very beginning of your journey, and they are well deep into that journey with a very heavy success from a business and competition perspective. What's your feeling being surrounded by these amazing minds?
Well, first of all, I would say safe, because you know they're with you because they love you.
Wait a minute. You feel safe with all these monsters?
Safe, man. How am I going to be safe? I walk to the room, nobody wants to mess with me. So I feel safe to be myself too, you know, do the jiu-jitsu the way I like, and feel safe to fail, you know. Maybe I'll fail, but I know they will be there for me regardless, you know. And just like I'm going to be there for them. So it's just, it is good to have that, be safe with your training partners, because they're more than that. They're like brothers to me. And, you know, I'm safe to be myself. And, you know, just like crazy, because if anything goes wrong, I can ask them, what happened? What's your vision on that? And for sure, they have a word of wisdom for me. So, you know, it is something like that.
Speaking of words of wisdom, a lot of people, especially now after pandemic, you know, people trying to get into jiu-jitsu, trying to try jiu-jitsu for very first time. Many don't even know what jiu-jitsu is. what would be the one word of wisdom, one sentence of wisdom that you would pass on for someone who wants to start and perhaps is looking up to you, as a successful practitioner, a successful competitor?
I would say take the challenge. It will be very worth it. It changed my life, and it might change yours. That will be it. And more than that, I would say at the beginning, there's no reason for you to go crazy, like volume. It's about consistency, Like maybe you can only go 2 days a week. But if you can go 2 days a week for, 3 years, you see a lot of improvement. Unless some people do sometimes, they start and they really like it. They want to go 5 times a week. But you see them fading away after 2 months. They get hurt. They get they want the short, they want the progress to be short in a short time.
Sprint, yeah.
And that doesn't happen in Jiu-Jitsu. That'll be hard, Of course, you see some improvement, but you suffer a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes the suffering fades away the benefits, And I feel like if you take it with time, because Jiu-Jitsu, I feel that there's a lot of understanding too. Like as I said before, each people has their own learning pattern, And as more as you train, the more you show up, you're gonna have, depending on the facility, you're gonna have different teachers. You're gonna have different training partners, and you learn more. Like, do I learn more by drilling? Is my bottom better than my top game? All that. You kind of start to discover more about yourself.
I love it. That's that the fact that you mentioned everybody has a different learning patterns. It is so true, and often forgotten.
Myself. Sometimes teachers showing a position. I'm pretty sure I don't have ADHD, but I lost myself in the position. And whenever we're drilling, I'm like, dang, I can't remember the whole thing. And I look at the side, there's a blue belt doing things perfectly. And then I can look at him and I do what he's doing. And now as I put the repetition, I get it. And other persons, they're better learning by listening. So, keep going. Sorry, I cut you.
No, you're fine.
It's what we want to hear.
Absolutely,
sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
All the secrets, man. All the secrets to steal from you. Listen, we've been at this for almost an hour now. Before we wrap this up, we do something at the end of each episode. We have 5 questions for you. We didn't tell you about this. A little secret. Gary's going to ask you 5 questions. Some of them are funny, some of them are less funny. But see the first thing that comes to your mind. Let's see where this goes. And Gary, you ready?
Yeah, and we have a listener question as well. So if you are listening, maybe it's yours. You'll get to hear it. But the first one, as always, after all your previous athletics and stopping that for a little bit as a kid, what was it like the first time you stepped on the jiu-jitsu mat? What were you feeling?
Do you remember the very first day?
Not the very first day, but there is one day that was still very remarkable for me. I think it was probably the first week still. I started to feel very comfortable in the environment, like with the gi on. I felt like I did there already. And I catch myself walking no flip-flops off the mat, on and off the mat.
Uh-huh.
And then my teacher called me out. Hey, kiddo, you got to use your flip-flops. Who do you think you are? That was very remarkable.
Small lessons, right?
Uh-huh.
Small lessons.
We teach that lesson here a lot.
Can't get you comfortable,
No,
I got this.
Nice.
No.
Number 2 is from the listener, and it's from Pete. We know Pete. Pete's a great guy. How long did it take before it all started making sense for you?
Oh,
I think to my first competition, things made sense a little bit, I had my sequences. I had a really good sequence that I still use to this day, like flower sweep from close guard and then triangle from close guard. I really felt comfortable with it. So I feel like 10 months for me, I had a good combination that would work with people in my lab. I don't know how long it's going to take to you, but for me, it took 10 months. It actually took 10 months for me to actually go to my first competition. So 10 months with a lot of work, and I had a little position that was comfortable. My close guard, my floor sweep, my triangle. So that all made sense for me already. I knew that if I had the kid in a close guard, I would be able to flower sweep him or either triangle him. I had the confidence on me.
Would you agree that confidence level or these, all comes together more effort we put into this, meaning from a training perspective? For somebody who's training twice a day, is this going to be the same as somebody who's training twice a week? Or is it going to be different?
Yeah. I think it's going to be different, but I feel like there's so much to it, because if you train twice a day, that doesn't like assure you that you're going to beat up who's training twice a week. Mm-hmm. Because who trains twice a week could be a wrestler back in the school, or could be like a very talented like guy. So I feel like it's more. It has way more to do like with mentality too. It's just crazy to think. Like. So I would say maybe the twice a day has more chances, but I don't know. Is it gonna get frustrated easier than the guy who trains twice a week if he takes a beat because he trains twice a day, and then he's going to stop?
Mm-hmm. And then also is the effort that goes into this, right? I mean, somebody could come to the academy twice a day, and they could BS hang out, all the stories and everything, blah blah blah. Yeah. And then somebody comes in for an hour and a half twice a week, and they really work hard. The results are going to be very different, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask. Touching on this, Stan, before we get to the next official question, but would you recommend like people finding a sequence for them, a beginner, like, this sweep to that position to, this submission?
For sure. I often get messages about it by big guys, mostly. They message me like, oh, I'm like 6'7", 270. I just started. There's something you can help me with. Like, there's something I should work on at the beginning. I was like, you could probably just train a close guard for the beginning. Just feel safe when you have someone in your close guard, and from there you start to figure out things more, And I'm not saying for you to strict train that, but they'll keep you safe whenever you're rolling someone in your level. You have a little bit more of leverage probably because your legs are so long, and you feel like easier for you to do a flower sweep or a triangle that would be for someone like with shorter legs. So I feel that a sequence is important, because it's the beginning of the plan that you start to have for jiu-jitsu. I feel like this played a big part of me. Like, I started playing close guard as a white belt, and now I still playing close guard as a black belt. So it's part of myself.
Great advice. Have you ever wanted to quit?
Quit? Not really. Like stop and quit. No, because I feel like jiu-jitsu gave me so much hope that without it, I don't think there'll be actually something else that will fulfill me as much as jiu-jitsu does. Like, I don't see it. Having all the careers, yes. Like, combined with jiu-jitsu, yes. Like, not only being an athlete, being a professional, being a teacher, having my own clothing line as I have. So just being like an entrepreneur, yes. But I never see myself, even if I'm not working with jiu-jitsu anymore, not doing jiu-jitsu. I think like jiu-jitsu is part of my life from now and ever, now and ever, forever.
Good for you. Beautiful.
Good for you.
Describe your feelings when you received your black belt.
Did you cry?
As I like to say, fulfilling my destiny. I didn't cry, but I almost did. But it was just crazy, because it was a big year. I don't know if you guys are aware of this story, but behind that, but I had a 1 year as brown belt where I took a couple losses. I still won the world championship, and I made a deal with my sensei that I would stay 1 more year because I wanted to try to do the double gold Grand Slam, And a lot of people think like, he stayed 2 years brown belt, that's probably sandbagging. Of course it's not, because as brown belt, there's only one thing that you can go after brown belt. Black belt, and being a good brown belt is not going to assure anything for you as a black belt. We have seen many brown belts that get promoted to black belt, and you don't see them as much anymore. So I just wanted to take that challenge to be the best brown belt ever to do it, because I feel like that would be very helpful for me, and it would bring my confidence to other level. And the whole road as a brown belt for 1 more year would be challenging. Why? Because if I wanted to be double gold at Europeans, Brazilian nationals, pans, and worlds, I would be facing the best guys in different countries, and things still could go the other way. There's no such a thing like, I'm going to win for sure, because you win your division, good. You rest, and there's still absolute. There's still like 20 people for you to go through the whole bracket. So I had a lot of wars. Like Europeans, I remember I was losing by 2 points, and then I took the guy down in the last 2 minutes and took his back. That was my first absolute gold of the year. I was like, that was hard. Now we have Brazilian nationals. No, now I have Pan Ams. Pan Ams, it was kind of good. That was one of my best tournaments. I had a lot of submissions and all that. Then came Brazilian nationals. I was a little injured already from the trips and like training hard. Brazilian nationals, I remember I won my division. It was a really good division. But the finals of the absolute, I was really exhausted because of the trip and like the Brazil so hot, you know. And I remember the finals, I was losing till the last minute, and I put the on a triangle at that final. It was like crazy. And then we have rolls now. It doesn't get any easier. Next time is always harder. Mm-hmm. So rolls was pretty crazy too. I had a war with Jonathan Gracie on the quarterfinals. He picked me up and dumped me on my head, and I was able to come back from that. And it was just crazy, you know. And I feel like my black belt was part of this whole process that took like more, not only the year, but more than that. But the year was very like part of me. So it was a really good feeling and exciting me too. You know, like once you get your black belt, you're like, wow, now I'm gonna get to fight the big stars. You know.
Do you think
I didn't cry, but I got really close to it.
Yeah, it's an emotional moment for all of us who have achieved that point, and
it is.
I hope many after us will achieve that point as well. Do you think the black belt is the beginning or the end?
For me, it was the beginning. I feel like if you think it's the end, you're not thinking right. For sure, the beginning.
Yeah,
there's so much more to learn, you know.
Yeah, we ask that question often, and it doesn't matter if the person's a high-level competitor or if they just, have thoughts of opening their own academy, but they always think it's just the beginning. And it's two different paths. They're going to go on this teaching path, so they need to learn more. They need to keep growing, right? So they can share and hand it down. And you're going to do the same thing, but you also have that competition aspect, like you just said, where now I'm going to go against the biggest names in the world, the toughest guys in the world. So you've still got so much more room to grow.
Yeah, not so much. Yeah, if you don't like to teach, at least be a good example during class, like be a good student, That's a big part of it too, be an example, because the white belts are always looking up to black belts and all upper belts. That's what I like to tell my classes. So be a good student. It does play a big part,
That's great.
In your journey.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Last
All
question.
Right, the last question. That black belt that you have, do you wash your belt?
Sometimes, once a month.
Once a month.
when it get mixed up with it again, I forget, so I wash.
Oh, accidental washing.
Yeah, accidental washing. That's what happens.
All right,
Victor. What a phenomenal conversation we've had. We really do appreciate all the thoughts, all the wisdom that you have shared, particularly the personal side of your journey that many might not know about, all the struggles you have gone through in your life, and congratulations on all your success up to this point.
Thank you.
And we'll be definitely watching you as you continue growing and continue exploring that jiu-jitsu journey. Where can people find you? You talk about people reaching out to you, you answering questions. What's the easiest way to get a hold of you, just in case anybody has some thoughts or follow-up questions after this conversation?
Yes, I think you guys can hit me on the Instagram, Instagram. Instagram competitions. If you ever see me, you can come by. I'm really easygoing. For sure, we can talk. And if you guys are looking for improving your jiu-jitsu, make sure you can check my instructionals out. I really teach everything I do. I didn't hide anything. I just did what people asked me, because as brown belt I play a lot of 50-50, but people saw that I wasn't actually like looking for stalling anyone. I came with good transitions and like sweeps, so everything's there. My upside down guard game is out there. I just brought to people what people actually like to see from me. They're like, oh, you're so big and you play like this inverted guard and all that. I'm like, yeah. And I decided to bring it all together and make an instructional. So everything that is there is like I use a competition instead I use a training, And if you guys are up to learn more, make sure you check it out. The link is on my bio, my Instagram, and stay tuned for Saturday. It will be a great show.
That's it.
And I think that's it for now.
We'll definitely will be watching that. Okay. Well,
thank you.
Once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time, and we'll be watching you from the sidelines and enjoying the view. That's always you're one of the most entertaining competitors today in my mind. At least. So it's always a pleasure talking to you, and good luck with all the success.
Thank you. That's one of my main missions. I think if you keep it to training, that's what's going to bring the jiu-jitsu to the next level when it comes to like mainstreaming, and bring more people in. I feel like as more entertaining it is, more people that don't do jiu-jitsu will think that's cool and I want to do that. So that's one of my main missions now as an athlete. And yeah, thank you.
Good for you.
Beautiful. Thanks.
That's awesome.
I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Thank you, guys.
Right, peace.
Later.
Thank you for listening to Raw Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.